Who is Kevin Warsh? In this video, I'm going to break down exactly who Kevin Warsh is, what his background is, what it means for traders, what it means for investors, how can we try and make money off this thing, and what to expect, and all the good bits. So Kevin Warsh is the 17th chair of the Federal Reserve. So he was elected in May, and he's going to do his first FOMC meeting, which is to give you a bit of background, there's a 12-man, or obviously 12-woman and man, male and female chair, and they decide on rate hikes and rate cuts, and Kevin Warsh is the chair. So he would be, I guess, necessarily the leader, which used to be Jerome Powell. If they are to do a Q&A, so every FOMC meeting, there's typically a Q&A, which they do. It would be led by Kevin Warsh. He'd be the one answering the questions from the general public. So I wanted to do this video just before then to kind of find out who he is and what it means for markets. So remember, this is my research, not financial advice. Make sure you do your own work. So, bit of background about him. He started off as an investment banker, Morgan Stanley, and he's actually been in and out of like government-related positions since 2006. So from the age of 35. So yeah, 20 years he's kind of been in and out. He also did a bit of work with Stanley Druckenmiller as well, and we all know Stanley Druckenmiller, one of the best investors, traders ever. So he's been around the block. He's been around many different people. So Trump, I believe, was calling him like the best ever, but he's obviously going to say that. So he's got a good history. You know, he's a Wall Street guy. He's a markets guy. So he's got that background about him, which could be maybe telling of how he goes, but this isn't too predictive. So electing him in, it was actually one of the tightest ever, or the tightest ever. So things are so split. There's so much things for him to consider moving forward. So it's going to be really tough kind of like to predict and map out, but my plan's pretty simple, to be fair. But yeah, close split. It's weird times. It's probably, there's so many different little things to analyze and so many things going on in the world, which is going to make it difficult for him and difficult for us guys to forward plan. So his position's shifted over time. So he's been like a hawkish, so he's consistently hawkish at the Fed, and he resigned obviously in 2011 when he went on to work with Stanley Druckenmiller, criticised like Jerome Powell of like the COVID stuff. So you've probably seen interviews of him talking about like being hawk. For those who don't know, hawkish is typically somebody who wants rate hikes. A dove is more generous. So a dove, I guess, is beautiful. A hawk is not. Maybe if you want to compare that way. So a dove would be somebody who wants rate cuts. So we don't know what to tell, really. There's a couple of interviews online where he's giving mixed signals, and I think there's a lot of mixed signals kind of for him to look at. But yeah, in terms of his background, you can't really tell. He's been critical, but you're probably going to be critical, all the time, because it's easier when you're not in that position. So the decisions that the committee are going to make is going to be really interesting. So there's a lot of different things going on. So you've got, I guess for the Dove case, could you go full-blown AI bubble? Do you just go, right, productivity, it's go time, let's pump the markets, let's go. AI, productivity boom, lower the rates, let business growth happen. Could be one, but then you've got things like sticky inflation, CPI came in high in the last reading. You've got all these things. You've got the war, which recently happened, which has obviously had a knock-on effect with energy prices. You've got all these little things. So you've got arguments for both sides, really. But just remember, he's not calling the shots. There's 12 FOMC voters. So it will be a split thing, but he will come out and do the Q&A at the FOMC meeting. So in terms of kind of, the wild card, argument for lower rates is that whole AI stuff. Like, do you just let businesses grow? Do you let, take control of the AI war? You could say like there'll be definitely some other countries who will be doing putting a lot of spending, a lot of work into AI. And is Kevin Warsh thinking and the team like, okay, cool, is this our time to capitalize on it? Are they going to be getting a earful from Trump if they don't? Lots of different things, but as I mentioned earlier, the inflation bit and the high energy prices doesn't support the thesis. So you've got really two split things, really. That's what's making it difficult to him, and especially hard for us guys to really kind of get an insight on how to plan. So we've got a couple of charts here. So I've got 30-year bond yields. I've got the stock market, the S&P. I've got gold, and I've got the dollar. As you can see, the 30-year bond market yields, that's borrowing money over 30 years, came into this kind of like 2007 level, and we all know what happened after that. Big psychological level, you could say. I don't really look too much into bonds, so I don't have too much of an opinion on something I'm not that I'm not fussed about, but it's not something I look at every day. But I wanted to put this in because it's going to be something that he will be considering into his answers and into their discussions. Stock market, we know all-time highs, AI, productivity boom, let's go. Who knows what's going to play out of that? Could we see maybe another flash crash and we go again? Potentially. Could we see some stalling before a move up or down? Who knows? We've got gold. Obviously, gold was, all-time highs. It came down a bit. Could this be a good time to accumulate gold? Who knows? I think gold's in a bit of no man's land. Maybe if you zoomed in, you get a bit more of a better feel. Maybe if you're on daily, but gold, I think it's quite hard to have a big opinion on right now. You could argue China, obviously, accumulating gold, and I believe they're continuing to accumulate gold at record levels. So that could be another factor. The most interesting one, I think, of these charts, though, is the dollar. As you can see, I've got by the way, a 33-day EMA and a 200-day EMA. They've actually crossed. So could we see a little rally in the dollar, which should harm risk assets? Who knows? But that could confirm a little rally, maybe something like this before lower. Who knows? Like, you can't predict these things, but my plan is to, do the same thing. As you can see, though, none of these charts scream Kevin Warsh in, or Kevin Warsh in, Kevin Warsh is here, Kevin Warsh is coming. None of them scream that. So for me, I'm not going to look too much into the decisions and so on. It's going to be interesting to see what he says in the interviews, like the FOMC committee meeting. There's like a Q&A section. So news reporters, it's usually just the same people every week. You have like Nick Tamaros and all these guys. They just ask the same questions, but it'll be interesting to see what they ask him and his responses, because that can actually give you a better view than the decision tomorrow. So that's something to bear in mind. But yeah, for me, I'm going to stick to the same plans as I do with kind of investing in the same systems. I'm not going to change everything based on what Kevin Warsh does or says. But yeah, I'm obviously going to listen to what he says, and that's going to give me I could start to think of plans, but I'm not going to just act on what he says. That's a stupid decision. You don't want to make any big decisions here. But for me, the most interesting one on this is this bond market. Where does it kind of go from here? It's in this kind of zone here, which hasn't been out for 20 years, and then you've got the dollar crossed on those EMAs. It's potentially failed to go lower there. Could we see a little move up there? Who knows? So that's kind of some of the charts, and my plan is I'm not going to change anything because of a Fed share, and I don't think you should as well. So all the data reference here that I collected through the presentation. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I do have a free newsletter, so please sign up to that below in the description. And yeah, who knows what's going to happen with Kevin Warsh? We can only find out. And remember, don't make any too big decisions based on what he says. Stick to the plan and you will be fine. I will see you in the next one.